At this time, we do have a large amount, again, we're regarding one specific topic regarding sagebrush, so I would ask the speakers, since we have had a lot of opportunities for public communication, you do have an opportunity again today, try to be respectful of the other cards, to try to keep it to 3 to 5 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes for this item only, and we have about 12 speakers in whole. So the first speaker we have is Ryan Jorbin. Am I right? Ryan Jorbin? And after Ryan, we have Kevin Kang, and after Kevin Kang, Melinda Foster. Ryan, the floor is yours. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. My name is Ryan Jorbin. I am a parent of 2 children at Mountain Avenue now, a kindergartner and a first grader, so I'm there for the duration. I'm also a resident of Upper Briggs Terrace area, and we moved there a year and a half ago specifically so that my children could go to schools in Glendale Unified, and namely La Crescenta schools, and Mountain Avenue was our first choice. I've been here in front of you multiple times. You probably all recognize me. You know what my position is on this. My primary position is the best interests of Mountain Avenue students and the La Crescenta community, and then Glendale Unified as a whole. And because of that, I think there are some serious concerns for me about the way sagebrush and the transfer have been handled up till now. Now, we got a somewhat emergent email today saying, hey, there's a meeting on this tonight. Again, the community was taken by surprise. And trust me, if I didn't know there was a meeting, not very many people in the community knew there was a meeting. Now, I knew that Ms. Russell was going to come meet with the PTA at our PTA meeting, which I am a member of, but unfortunately, I work at 9 a.m., so I will not be there. So I knew that was coming up. But I didn't know this meeting was coming up. And this, again, puts into play the fact that La Cañada has no problem getting their communication out to their people about what they want. But we seem to continuously have problems with Glendale letting us know when this issue is coming up and what the issue is. I still don't know why we're talking about this tonight. I still don't know what the plan is. I've heard that you guys are talking about new proposals to provide to La Cañada. I have no clue what they are. How is that possible? How is it possible that an email did not go out to Mountain Avenue? I promise you, I could get a Mountain Avenue email out to every parent in that school within the next 10 minutes. Why didn't you guys? My theme has always been that La Cañada has self-interest in this. They have property values that they're interested in. They have an interest in making this happen. What is our interest? Why do we want this? Why is this good for Glendale Unified? Why is this good for Mountain Avenue? And no one's been able to answer that for me. The other issue I've always had is what is going to happen in Mountain Avenue. We get lots of, well, we'll work with you guys. Got to tell you, I didn't know about tonight's meeting. Not feeling really good about you guys working with us as Mountain Avenue families if I don't even know when you're having a meeting about this issue, or what the issue is anymore, or what the plan is. So I am asking you as my elected officials to let your constituents know what's going on, to let the Mountain Avenue families know what you're thinking of before you start putting it on agendas and voting on it. The La Cañada organization is very powerful. I've been confronted by them physically outside this building being told that I am wrong and had them block my exit from the building. Okay? They have an agenda. What is ours, and why don't we know about it?
Thank you for coming. And again, it is an agenda discussion item. It's not a voting item today, so that's what today's item is. It's a discussion item. Thank you for coming, Ryan. Next speaker we have is Kevin Kang. After Kevin, we have Melinda Foster.
Hi, thank you. My name is Kevin Kang. I am a former student at Crescenta Valley High School, and I'm currently a youth pastor just in the area in La Crescenta. And I guess I want to just offer my 2 cents. I've seen this in the newspaper. I don't know everything, I haven't done full research, but I guess for me, I come from an Asian American perspective, and what we can obviously see here is, I guess I and one person over here, we're the only Asians, and I guess we're not represented very much because, for various reasons. It's probably our fault in some ways, so I just, came. The Korean American community, especially the people that do live in the Sagebrush area, the people that I know, my former students and my current students, they originally came in order to, go to Crescenta Valley High School. Their community is here, the local spots where they hang out, the Coffee Bean and all of that, it's in this area. And I feel like if they were transferred, just randomly to La Cañada High School, it would do them a disservice. They're part of different clubs, different organizations, the Christian Club, Academy of Science and Medicine, and ultimately, it's going to hurt them. And, obviously I'm not going to act like I know everything about this topic, and I'm not going to condemn you guys or anything like that. Yeah, so where I stand is, I feel like, yeah, there should be that option possibly, at least, where these students who, attend these campuses, Mountain Avenue, Rosemont, CV, they should have the choice to either go to a La Crescenta school or be part of the La Cañada Unified School District. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Stick for the discussion item. I'm sure you'll hear all that on there, so I appreciate it. Dr. Sheehan, you had a
just
a point of clarification.
Point on clarification, and there was a pause because we were checking with the principal. According to the principal at Mountain, we did do an all-call last Thursday, as well as an all-call on Sunday. So we did ask our principals to do all-calls on their weekly call-outs to the parents. Okay, so it's to my knowledge and checking with Ms. Witt that she did put out notification last Thursday and also Sunday night.
Thank you, Dr. Sheehan. And again, this item is not for voting. An action item is a discussion item presently, so please understand what this meeting is about. It's for discussion. Next speaker is Ms. Melinda Foster. Thank you, Melinda, for coming. After Melinda, we have Mr. Tom Smith. And again, so we can try to keep it within 20 minutes. Everyone can
I'll
speak.
keep it within 20 minutes. I speak fast, so pay attention. Okay, so first of all, let's just address the whole Mountain Avenue blast that happened. It was put inside our Sunday evening regular kind of, we all ignore that stuff. So, I think it would be really nice, it's what happens. I didn't hear actually a physical call, because I was waiting for it. I knew you were going to send it, and I appreciate that. I had to go into my email. No, I will finish when I'm finished. Thank you. Anyway, as far as making a contingency plan, sometimes we get so tied up in the contingency plans in life that we actually forget that we may not need them. I feel like you spend a lot of time on a proposal, which I can't really address that because I won't know until afterwards what it is, but you may not need this contingency plan, and I don't want you to think that you have to use it because you've worked so hard on it. As far as I'm concerned, there is no reason for us to settle. At the beginning there was, but now I don't see any. There has to be a compelling reason. I cannot see a compelling reason to go through with this, and that's, I think, one of the first things that the state says. You offer these children great schools. That's why we're here. We wouldn't be here fighting for our schools if they weren't great schools. 2, you offered them the opportunity to transfer. I am not sure how many kids have come to you in the last couple of years, really serious coming saying, we feel disenfranchised, my kid is feeling psychologically bad about being here. I don't think so. As a movement this has worked, but there have not been kids that I feel are very disenfranchised by being there. But either way, you offered them the opportunity to go. Code 8, or at least Section 8, in the reasons why not to redistrict are for any property value increases. And all you would have to do is refer to the above. We give them great schools. We've offered them that they could transfer, and it would be pretty clear that one could guide it to this is about property values. I'm going to keep this pretty fast, but I will compel you not, unless they're going to offer us the moon. I'm talking not about what we have now, even more than we have now, because we would win this thing, to not go ahead with any kind of a settlement. I still say be very cooperative. Offer their children a chance to transfer. Maybe the natural progression would be over years they would transfer, and that would be fine. But as far as I'm concerned, there's no reason to give away things that we don't need to give away. So that's my feeling. Thank you. And 2 minutes and 38 seconds left. So there you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Melinda, for coming. Mr. Tom Smith. After Mr. Tom Smith, Laskowitz is next. Melanie? Lizowitz?
Close enough.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Good evening, President Krikorian, Superintendent Sheehan, members of the board. I actually was expecting to only be limited to 2 minutes, so if you don't mind and just indulge me, I'll just go ahead and read through this as fast as I can and just make my comments and leave some time for everybody else. So I look forward to tonight's discussion on trying to get to a proposal for a settlement agreement on the territory transfer. And like so many other people in this room, I've sat through numerous meetings here on this very same subject and heard comments coming from both sides, the supporters as well as the opposers. As well as many recaps about the timeline and the history of all this. In many of these meetings, these commenters have really chosen to focus only on the negative impacts or the fear of what the transfer would bring to the local schools. And you've heard it tonight, people saying, what's the benefit to GUSD? What's the benefit to GUSD? Well, there are benefits to GUSD. This board has responded, I think, very well to many of the concerns that have been raised. And yet those, the critical sniping seems to continue, based on your efforts, which I think you've done a very good job of trying to get through a very difficult and obviously emotional subject. So much of the prior discussion has distilled down to a few issues for which you've given assurances that there are answers to the concerns. Mountain Avenue will remain a neighborhood school with new programs to attract enrollment. Flexible boundaries will be created to not only bolster Mountain Avenue enrollment, but stem overcrowding at Monte Vista. As for the loss of the per-student state funding, that can be mitigated in a number of ways. First, not all the eligible students would transfer to LCUSD. As many parents on the La Cañada side, as you've heard today, they think Mountain Avenue rocks. So they're going to end up staying there. You're not in danger of losing every eligible child from the Sagebrush area. And then I want to point also that in 2013, there were approximately 170 GUSD permit students attending La Cañada schools. So just reducing the number of future permit kids will go a long way to offsetting any kids that would be lost from the Sagebrush area. And it was in the original FAQs. I noted it wasn't in the subsequent FAQs, but there was one comment in there that basically said that existing permit kids will not be impacted. So the kids that are in the pipeline today, there's not going to be any forced transfer from one school district to another. People keep bringing that up, and they should just get off that because both sides have already said that there won't be, and that's a logical part of the plan. And then lastly, the significant new residential development occurring in Glendale. I think it's reasonably likely that demands on the schools in the core of Glendale are going to eventually ripple out to the foothill areas. And so, again, there's another opportunity to keep the enrollment in those schools up. Now, some would say that there was no benefit to GUSD, which I say is unlikely. In addition to the benefits I already mentioned above, let me add this, that you're offering greater attendance flexibility to the families residing in the school areas. Students in both Glendale and La Cañada Flint Ridge will be attending schools in their own city and be fully integrated across both of them. Smaller class sizes have the opportunity to occur with less need for split classes, which displeases many parents. And I've done a little checking on the LCUSD side, and based on everything I'm told, the last time they had a split class was in 2002. And that's for a reason. I know that you go out of, you make every effort that you can to avoid that, but if you have too many kids in a particular class, perhaps it's sometimes unavoidable. So in closing, let me just point out that once again, this issue has been ongoing for 5 decades, and there's no reason to believe that it won't be for future decades if a negotiated settlement isn't reached. This issue is very solvable if it's approached in a rational and reasonable manner, and I just encourage you to continue to try and come to that end. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Next one is Ms. Is it Lasowitz? Did I say it right? Oh. Alami? Thank you for coming.
It's a hard one, Nalani Lazowitz. And I, too, have been before the board. I'm a Sagebrush resident. One of the big differences between being part of La Cañada School District and the Glendale School District is that the district office for La Cañada is 5 minutes from my home. And when I come here, it's a 40-minute round trip, during dinner time. And it's not easy for working parents, and especially parents with young children, to be able to participate. Sagebrush participation in Glendale School Board matters is actually very small. If you look at the voter rolls, and I've been studying them, just as an example, Proposition S, I saw on the Mountain Avenue Thursday newsletter that they had a call campaign to drum up votes in favor of S. but they only called the residents in La Crescenta and in Glendale. So there was no plan to call Sagebrush. Sagebrush voters, only 7% of the registered voters in Sagebrush voted for Prop S. So when we talk about issues of democracy and representation and whatnot, I just want you to know that Sagebrush is a real small voice in your district. And yes, over the last 4 decades, we have come together. In the 90s, it took 7 years to overcome battle after battle. Glendale fought us every step of the way. They sent out a lot of campaigns that frightened people, that made them worried that Mountain Avenue would close down. And through these means, they managed to block our efforts. But this desire to be part of our own community is not going to go away. I read a letter today in the news press, a public letter that was in response to Sandy Russell's new position on the board. And I just wanted to welcome you to the board and thank you for your service. I was so deeply offended when I read that a La Crescenta activist was making assumptions that Sandy Russell, that she would know where Sandy Russell would rest on this matter. We in Sagebrush don't take anyone on this board's vote for granted, and we certainly don't know how Sandy would vote. But to say that her interests no longer align with Glendale and instead align with La Cañada, I consider to be just about slanderous and a bad example. I would like to read a letter I've written in response to that. I want to remind everybody here that GUSD bears a responsibility to the children and teenagers who live in Western La Cañada. We are in your district, and so the best interests of our children has to be part of your equation. The Sagebrush neighborhood doesn't even border the city of Glendale. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of that. And yet we're told decade after decade that La Cañada kids and our bond payments are needed to make Glendale Unified better. La Cañada has its own public schools, its own city leaders, its own library, its own youth council. We have 2 newspapers, we have an educational foundation, we have arts, historical, cultural, and civic organizations. And I can tell you, as a parent of a Sagebrush child who moved here during high school, he never really got integrated in the city of La Cañada, and that's just the bottom line. People here keep saying they don't believe it, but I walk my puppy now every day in Sagebrush, and I've met more neighbors in the last 2 months in Sagebrush than I did in the 4 years that my son attended CV. Glendale kids get to attend Glendale schools, and La Crescenta Montrose is not divided between 2 school districts. And perhaps La Crescenta residents have overlooked how beneficial that is to your community and why your community is united. Over the past year, a few foothill activists have come to you again and again opposing this transfer and not really making clear why, other than they seem to think that losing La Cañada kids is going to endanger their school. I don't buy it. I don't think it's true. And I just want to repeat that the residents of La Cañada, we want to be one integrated city, and I don't think that desire is going to go away. So if we file this petition and if we have to do it in an adversarial process, that's where it's going to lead us. And in the 90s, it was a 7-year battle, and it pitted neighbor against neighbor. I hope for you don't go down that road again, and I hope you create a deal that's fair, that's not trying to extract, an unfair advantage. You have the clout, and we hope and we appeal to your good reason in helping us finally overcome this long-standing problem.